Alright, so this is a tutorial for Octo, which is a strat, or the newest skip that was made RTA viable in any percent that saves 2+ minutes. First, right off the bat, I would not recommend that anybody who's just learning the run learn this. It is a very high-level strat, and it's very risky, and until you get used to the game, I would say stick with the old any percent route. Because not only is the trick itself hard and punishing, but also the route involved with saving the maximum amount of time is also very punishing. So would definitely recommend not learning this until you are familiar with the game or familiar with the run and want to really push your time down. So a couple things about the trick before I start. It involves something called an ocarina boost. So if you don't know what an ocarina boost is, it is the act of shielding something, and then exactly the frame after shielding it, after you get knocked back, you play the ocarina and you lose collision, and you actually go through like whatever it is. Like you'll go through it, whatever's behind you. That's an ocarina boost. It is a frame perfect trick. It is the only thing that's frame perfect about Octo. Nothing else is frame perfect about it. Not even the actual act of shielding, just the input, the ocarina input after shielding is the only thing that's frame perfect. So another thing is you need a fairy for this trick to work. You need to be revived, essentially. Like you need for Link to be brought out of his push animation by a death and a revival, which is why the fairy is necessary. Okay. So on to the actual trick. Now, on Blue Chew, getting the lantern here, this trick basically, you do this trick right after fighting Blue Chew. So what you want to do is you want to damage down on Blue Chew, however you feel comfortable doing that. I like to damage down to 3/4 of a heart. And I will go over strats to damage all the way down to 1/4 of a heart after the actual clip itself is done, after the clip itself is gone over, because that is much more important to know right now. But yeah, like different healths may require some different strats to actually like get down to 1/4 of a heart, because you need 1/4 of a heart for the trick to work, because you need to die. You need to die on one of the pots. So you want to bring this pot all the way down. So it's the middle, not the middle one, the rightmost pot here. Pick up the middle pot and bring the pot down here like I just did, through the Ezlo trigger. Link will go through the pot. It's a little scary, but there's something I want to mention about that later too. I'll go over like side notes about the trick later on after the clip proper. Don't die on the way down here. That's bad. First thing I will note, by the way, you want to push the pot right into this position, and you want to stand up on this land and face down. Don't go too far down here. In fact, stay away from this corner in general. Stay away from this corner right here in general until the actual like execution of the trick. And I believe I have a save state that actually, yeah, there we go. Okay. So once you've got the trick set up, once you got the pot in place, once you're standing here, you want to dash down. And once you have, of course, 1/4 of a heart, your fairy and everything set up, you want to dash downwards. And I'm going to use frame advance here. So you want to dash downwards. I'm holding down, important to know, I'm holding down while I'm dashing. That's actually really important. Now, you can do this trick however you want to, but I'm going to go over the way I feel the most comfortable doing it, because it seems to me like it is the best way of doing it. Simply put, it seems to me like it is. It gives you the best chance to succeed. And bear in mind, you can pause buffer anything you want in this trick. Like it doesn't mess anything up. You could even Ezlo buffer if you want to, but if you want to do Octo manip afterwards, there is a specific manip that follows Octoclip. So aside from the strat that people do in either glitchless or the old any percent route, so just bear that in mind. And Ezlo does roll RNG when you use Ezlo buffers, but So upon dashing down, this pot and this pot are going to fly at us. This pot will come first. This pot is going to kill us. And this pot is going to be the pot that we're going to do the Ocarina boost, or OG. I'll be referring to it as OG hereforth. Off of. So we are doing the OG off of this pot through this pot as it's moving, and I'll get to this as the time comes. So we're gonna go through this pot as it's moving, and that's gonna clip us into the leg of Big Octo here, and we can just go down into the boss room because the trigger is active, thankfully. There's a barrier here that looks kind of like this here that goes across here, and it's like at a 90-degree angle. So that is what's keeping us from entering the boss room, but using this pot, we can clip through that. So I'm holding boots and down now, and I'm going to frame advance. When I get to about here, you can go down as low as you want with the dash. Just don't bonk. Please don't bonk. Bonking is bad. You will not be able to do the trick if you bonk. Just don't bonk. You can pause buffer that if you want. But essentially, what I'm doing here is I need a way to get up against the pot without actually incrementing my push frame counter, which I believe it's 6. It'll start pushing the pot after like 6 frames of being facing it and moving against it. So I don't want Link facing it. I want Link facing down until the top left pot hits a certain point in its flight towards me. So I'm going to frame advance some more. I'm shifting now from holding dash and down to holding down right. And holding down right here, as long as I don't let go of down, will keep Link facing down, which is exactly what I want. So I'm frame advancing this with emulator. Okay, so see this light streak right here, and see how the pot has started its flight down? I want this light streak. This light streak will serve as a sort of cue for me to use to shift from down right to straight right, pushing this pot. Okay, so I want the pot to be pretty much covering this. Now, this is not terribly precise. You don't need to be... Like, honestly, I could start pushing right now and make it work, probably. I'm not going to, because I think the frame window for the actual trick would suffer for it. But I want the pot to be over this light streak, or maybe a little bit past it even. But going while the pot is over it is fine. So I'm continuing to hold down right into the corner. I'm going to wait until the pot gets pretty much right over that streak, like right there. Right there is fine. I'm going to hold right from here on forth, and you can pause buffer this. Again, you can pause buffer the position of the pot. Just be aware of how pause buffering actually works in this game. How, like, if I were to pause right now, the pot basically would be here. Like, if I were to pause, the pot would be a frame after, but my input in the emulator that I'm doing right now would actually be a frame before. So just keep that in mind. Pause buffering this position, it's not a precise enough trick for it actually to matter, probably. As long as the pot is in this general area, you should be fine. So switch from down right to just right, and Link is going to turn and start pushing the pot. Okay, this pot's going to kill us. And I'm going to save a state right here just in case I mess something up. And Link's going to die. And then get revived. So now, what I want to do is I want to hold right. And you can hold right all the way through this. I let go of right. I happen to let go of right. It doesn't actually matter. As long as Link is like moving to the right. I actually had to kind of mess this up. You know what? Yeah, actually hold right here. Just hold right. And the thing to note is that holding right here will actually like maintain Link's momentum on the ice. So you don't need to worry about holding right past this point, but you will be pausing and turning around. And I did mention that this is the way that I feel is the best way to do this. because of the pause right here. So I need to equip the shield. I want to pause on at a certain time, which is a little bit tighter than the window for the pot position. So I want to wait until the pot is like right around here, relative to Link. The pot that's flying at me, that is. It can be a little earlier. It can be a little later. It's not as precise. You have at least a few frames here to work with. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to equip the shield. And coming out of this pause menu, I'm going to hold up and left. Now, why up and left instead of just left? I'm going to showcase that right now, actually. So if I were to hold just left, okay, my frame window for this trick, or for the shield itself, is made smaller because this pot, when we shield it, is actually going to knock us down to the right against the wall, and we're going to be like, basically we're going to have downwards momentum, if you will. We won't actually be going downwards because there's a wall there, but the point is it's giving us diagonal, or at least partially diagonal movement. Holding up and left negates the diagonal movement and creates more movement to the right, which is what we want. We want to get past a certain point on this pot, which I will detail once we actually get there. But the OG is going to actually get us through the pot. So I'm going to hold up and left here. And immediately, shield, or do the OG immediately. So shield, ocarina, and it's going to boost me through the pot. From here, you want to just mash right and dash. And now I'm through. Now I'm in. Now I'm past the barrier. And you can just roll down into the boss room like that. There we go. That's it. That's Octoclip. Now, if I were to hold left here, it does, like, trust me when I say, it does lessen the frame window. So I'm holding left, shield, ocarina, getting boosted through. See, this one worked, but just like, trust me, you want to hold up and left there. Like, evidently, when you unpause, when you do the OG, it is not going to be exactly the frame after you unpause, like I have here. So you would rather be moving upwards a little bit to get a more sideways deflection from the knockback here off the pot, rather than like a diagonal towards the wall. So let's see what else about this. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. That's the trick. Let me show you how. Let me show you how far you want to be. Oh, what am I doing? So shield, ocarina. So you see, like, to know that I've got it, basically, you see how there's this extra little black pixel there, coming off of Link's arm, coming off of Link's like sleeve of a shirt there. That is actually the black pixel. That's this pixel right here on the same pot, on a different pot. Same pixel, different pot. If you see that pixel, that's how you know you got it. Be careful. Be careful not to pause too early. If you pause too early after the revival, after the fairy revival, if you pause too early, you are at risk. If you hold up and left before the OG, you are at risk of actually coming off of the wall, and you don't want to come off the wall. You will void. You'll like be here. It'll look like you got it. Maybe it might look like you got it, but then you'll just respawn up there, which was your last save tile. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. That's bad. that means you have to redo the trick all over. And if at any point you fail the trick, just reset. Like, just reset and start again. Try again. That's really the only thing you can do. So that is Octoclip. Anything else here I wanted to go over? I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, honestly. So like the only thing in this trick, it's gonna take a lot of like practice to get down for sure. Especially the actual like muscle memory of the OG, and maybe like timing how much, like timing inputs out of a pause menu also takes some practice. But honestly, if you I think that if you can do Ocarina glitch, you can do this. Like Ocarina glitch honestly is very similar of an input to this, at least the OG, at least in my opinion. I don't know if that's a weird opinion, but I think that is it's more doable than it might seem just from this. But so let me try to do it in fast motion. I might miss it, but we'll see. It is still at its core a frame perfect trick. So, but yeah, it looks a little bit like. Okay, so if you see that happen, it means that you pressed A and B on the same frame. Either that or you were early, but I very clearly was not early on that one. The pause was timed perfectly. It's just the shield and Ocarina were played on the same frame, or were used on the same frame, and Link prioritizes the Ocarina in that case. So let's try it again. There we go. So yeah, that is what it looks like in fast motion. Now, okay, interesting thing to note there. Make sure you listen, because I was at one of the later frames there to be able to push the pot. But you can see this is leaning enough where like I don't think a pause buffer is really I think the more useful pause buffer is here, because if you don't pause buffer this, like the reason I like to pause buffer here is because of the fact that if I were to hold up and left straight from a right input, there's the possibility that Link will face up. So it'll look like this, like Link will face up instead of left, and that's not good. That changes the timing of the OG completely. Like it changes like the frame window for you to actually execute the OG in order to clip far enough into the pot to get through. So I personally think you should pause here regardless. Regardless of what you actually do for the rest of the trick. If you pause buffer, whatever you pause buffer here, I would also pause buffer this. Because Link facing up and left is what makes that certain timing work. And it makes it more consistent. It'll be more consistent that way. So, oh yeah, one thing I wanted to go over that I actually sidetracked on. So it was what was it again? Right, that. If you don't see the pot move, but you hear it, be ready for it to move because you did push it. So make sure you listen carefully to the sound, or for the sound that the pot makes when you push it. Because yeah, I'm envisioning a scenario where somebody's not listening, or somebody has muted sound or something and doesn't hear the push sound and just gives up on the trick because they don't think they pushed it. Make sure you listen for that sound. And that bit of a late pause. I think it still would have worked, but if that happens, by the way, if you see Link just like use the shield and nothing else, that means your shield was 2 frames before the ocarina. There we go. Yeah, when you see that pixel in the pot, you're good. That black pixel. A couple things I wanted to go over. That's basically the trick. That's really all I have on the trick, I think. The trick proper. One thing to note about the actual setup here. So say, for instance, I had... let me see if I can like actually get myself to 3/4 of a heart here. So I like to be at 3/4 of a heart for this trick. Because it allows me to move through this room without really much of a worry. It is important to not die on the way down, like bringing the pot down. It is important to note what your health is before you actually enter this room. And you'll see, like, if you pick up that pot basically right before you get hit, you'll be fine. You will usually only take 1/4 of a heart of damage, but that is the reason why I like coming in with 3/4 of a heart instead of a 1/2 a heart, because you risk getting hit twice there and just dying with 1/2 a heart. Now, if you only get hit once, you might be wondering, like, what do you do if you only have 1/2 a heart, or if you have 1/2 a heart, you need to kill off another 1/4 of a heart. Well, there's another pot there. As long as you don't go below, like, the top of this, below the top of this torch, you will not trigger that pot. Or rather, if you don't go left of, like, this pattern, rather. So let me do this again. So, like, yeah, you wanna basically just, like, kind of, like, see, like, something like that might happen. If you are not careful. But yeah, just don't go like left of don't go left of like the middle of this pattern, and then come up and just like move left, I guess, and one of the pots will hit you, hopefully only one. But yeah, that risk is why I like to have 3/4 of a heart. And then we can use the pot that we didn't trigger, which is what I was going to lead into. We can use the pot that I did not trigger to damage us down the extra. I actually wanted to get hit by that. Whoops. Let me see if I can trigger just one here. Okay. So, alright. I want to enter with 3/4 of a heart. I want to get hit by that. Pick up the pot right before you hit. It's fine. You want to make sure you throw that pot down. By the way, throw the pot down so that you don't collect the heart by accident. You don't want the heart. One thing to note about pushing this pot down, by the way, if I am like right in the middle here, so like if I'm right in the middle of this pot, you'll be able to tell because the shadows, like Link's shadow will match up with the edge of the pot's sides there. If you're right in the middle, let me save a state so I can show you what happens. If you're right in the middle and you push into the pot, you will void. You will void back to your last save tile. Not good. There's a way to avoid this. There's no need to shift over a pixel. Like you wanna push this from the right side generally, because pushing this pot into the Ezlo trigger makes Link like clip into the pot, as you've seen. Let me save state here. So if you're right in the middle here, like if you're to the side, it's fine. Just like hold down left. Link will like kind of phase out of the pot and you'll be fine. But if you're right in the middle here, there's no need to move over. Just hold straight right. Hold straight right and Link will kind of like shimmy out of the pot. Out of the way of it. Also, this is just like a mindless way to, I like this. This is why I like coming in with 3/4 of a heart as well. I can just push this pot here and that pot will automatically damage us for the extra 1/4 of a heart. So always just be wary of your health coming in, and try to get 3/4. You can make half a heart work, just be careful. That's all. Okay, so that means I hit them on the same frame, and like once that happens, I don't think there's a way to recover that. You just have to reset. I'm actually having trouble hitting both the buttons at the same time. Slow that state. There we go. Or I'm having trouble hitting the buttons one after another is what I'm saying. Wow. That's not far enough. So, like, you see how that black pixel was not... I did not push the pod. The black pixel was not visible there. Just one so I can end the video, please. There we go. Okay, so that's what it looks like. That's really all I got on Octo clip. So yeah, I hope this tutorial helps. And have a good one. And happy practicing and learning. Peace.